want to talk to you about two things that we all do that are not helpful. I want to give you two things that, when combined, are key ingredients to a recipe that leads to delays and detours and possible derailments in seasons of transition and disruption. It's important that we know what these two things are because we all do them and we're all prone to them, but we want to stop those behaviors so that we don't get stuck. Okay, are you ready for them? Here they are. Here's the first one: blaming. Yep. And its partner, complaining. Yeah, blaming and complaining. Those two activities are a problem. Now, we're naturally prone to kind of go there, but we have to choose to not get stuck because those things will mess with us. They will hinder us in seasons of transition. Let's talk about blaming. Blaming and assigning blame is basically a way of excusing ourselves from taking any responsibility to act. That's right. Now, there may be plenty of blame to go around. There may be someone that we can say that's whose fault it is. But here's what you need to understand: that in seasons of transition and disruption, being able to assign that blame doesn't change your situation. There may come a time where blame gets assigned, and whatever the consequences need to be, they are. But right now, as we're trying to navigate through a massive transition and disruption in our individual lives and in our businesses, companies, organizations, and teams, we don't really need to be wasting a lot of time trying to assign blame, because blame primarily tries to excuse ourselves from responsibility. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help us get from where we are to where we want to be. It doesn't help us navigate through the season. So assigning blame, saying, oh, it's the city's fault, it's the county's fault, it's the state's fault, no, it's the nation's fault, no, it's some other nation's fault. Okay, I get it. Someone will eventually be blamed, but right now, we don't have time for that. It's going to delay us, it's going to detour us, and it could even derail us. So we don't want to fall into the trap of blame. Blame is what we do to excuse ourselves from responsibility of taking necessary action, and it doesn't address what do I need to be doing right now. And that's more important than blaming. Now, let's go to the second ingredient: complaining. Complaining is different than blaming. Blaming says it's not my fault. Complaining is basically just declaring, I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't like it, and here's why I don't like it. Okay, we get it. You don't like it. But you know what? You don't have to like it, but you do have to navigate through it, and that's a big deal. Complaining is like a giant pause button. When you begin to fall prey to just complaining about your situation, I get it. When situations are challenging and difficult and painful and someone else's choices put us in them, complaining is a natural response. But it's not a helpful one. Remember, that's what I said at the beginning. These two things, we all do them, but they're not helpful. And we want to avoid falling into the trap of blaming and complaining, the two main ingredients of a recipe that leads to delays, detours, and possible derailments. Complaining is just a waste of energy and time. Complaining about our situation. If we're sitting around in our conference calls today, our video calls today, and all we're doing is talking about why we don't like where we are, that is not helpful in getting us from where we are to where we want to be. It doesn't move us anywhere. That's my point. Complaining is a pause button. It stops progress. So what should we be doing if we're not going to fall prey to these two very human things of blaming and complaining? Here's three things that you can be doing. You ready? Number one, you can be identifying the issue. Yeah, identify the issues. That's different from blaming, and it's different from complaining. You can't address an issue until you identify it. So just identify what the problem is. Identify it. Let's name it. Let's find out what it is, and let's identify it. Number two, let's investigate the possible ways we can address that. And number three, let's implement those solutions. Those three things move us through the process. They help us get things done. Those are three things that are helpful. Identifying the issue, investigating the ways to address the issue, and implementing the solutions to that issue. That moves us forward. Blaming and complaining does not. We're all prone to do it. My social media feed is full of it, lots of blaming and complaining. It's a very human thing to do. We all do it, but it isn't helpful. Blaming and complaining are the two primary ingredients in a recipe that leads to delays, detours, derailments, denials, any other D word you come up with that isn't good. So we want to avoid that trap. What do we do instead? Let's just focus on identifying what the issues are. Let's investigate what the possible ways we can address those issues, and let's implement those solutions. If we'll do that, then we'll actually make progress. We'll move through this season. And I'm a firm believer that if we have to go through a challenging and difficult time, we should at least benefit from it. That's how we can do it. That's what I'm thinking about today.